What's up, guys? This is Andrix.
And the Leo King, and welcome to Electronic Generation.
How you guys doing out there?
How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. This was a great weekend. Avalon was amazing.
I was like I said when we were at Avalon, it felt like a dream, and I feel like I haven't left the dream yet.
We definitely. There was so much energy. It's more than just energy, but it's the thing is we've been talking. We booked the show prior to even starting Electronic Generation, prior to even doing all this stuff, and we've been promoting and talking about it. We didn't know what to expect, but we basically, all this was happening real time for us and the audience.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Well, number one, we opened up for Dirty South, and we got to DJ for Giant, which is one of the oldest promoters around, and we I don't think we got our start with Giant, but it's definitely one of our first stepping stones individually as DJs.
Absolutely.
And so it was weird to kind of go back in time to the Giant vibration, which is like the real way the scene started, like properly starting from the first slot to the last slot. And, that seems to have been lost in the scene a lot. And we went backwards in a good way, though. I enjoyed it. It made me feel like young again.
No, it did. Not only that, but they're definitely a signature brand. A lot of people, I think, with the explosion of dance music, especially in the last 10 years, there's so many new fads and trends within dance music, and a lot of people aren't aware that Avalon itself is a national landmark.
Yeah, it is.
Right, the venue itself is a national landmark.
Opened in 1927.
Yeah, no, it's a historical landmark. But the other thing is, everything is so particular, detailed in there. What do they care about? They care about music and sound.
And lighting,
Yeah, and production, exactly.
Production value is the highest. And sure, there's some places that go way over the top. That place does it in more intricate places. Like some people might have a great LED wall. They do stacked, multi-dimensional LED walls. They do overhead lighting. They do lasers. They do the whole bang. They got it all around, and the owner of Avalon makes the EAW sound systems and does a whole lighting company. So it's like when you have the owner of the club who cares more about the sound than anything, it's a club based around an experience.
It's that, but more interestingly, I think for me and people that are that actually are musical and are seasoned music fanatics or dance fanatics, when they go to Avalon, they get the experience.
It's like a home for experienced people.
It is, but they could have easily turned that into a modern day Vegas style venue, but they didn't. They stuck to their guns, and it's kind of like it's like good cognac or good wine. It's like when you go back at first, you're kind of like, let's try all this new stuff, and then you go back and you're like, wow, this aged. Because they actually kept going. Now the difference is there's a lot of it, and this you could say this about a lot of different topics, and a lot of different products and services. But the people that stay in a certain industry and they continue to do something, that's the key thing, is to be consistent, right?
Yeah.
Because then if you're consistent, then you'll refine whatever it is that you're doing.
No, and that's a good point. And that place has stayed true to itself. But I think the other thing that we did that was cool was we brought people that are watching the show out and met them in person, which I think is like what this whole Electronic Generation's about. So I feel like this show, and you and I actually both believe this show that we did this weekend was actually like the whole point of EG in a lot of ways.
It definitely was, because a lot of it was. This is completely organic from just day one, from just a conversation, and I think our careers, that's where it's it's parallel, because a lot of the things that I think that you talk about and you do, I feel that you're just tapping into the moment. You're able to tap to that present moment, and I didn't really understand that within myself. I've been doing that for many years as well, but you know, now I would say in the last year, especially working with you, it's like, okay, this is why we're on the same wavelength, because we're actually letting our, you know, that inner, I guess, that invisible conversation happen between us, you know?
And we're doing that on stage DJing too. So
Yeah.
and we're doing it on this show. Sure,
Yeah.
we have points that we got to make, and in the background we got our people yelling at us, turn to the clip, turn to the clip. But at the same time, it's like, you know.
It's totally organic.
It's
very
very
unscripted.
organic, it's unscripted, and I think that's, of course, I think you and I had plans when we came up with this. We want this to be the most tightly done, perfect show. And I think the more we go into it, we're learning it's more of an organic experience, and I think it gets better because of more of that organic experience.
It's because of that, and also I think it's because of all the people that inspire us. You know, the conversations that we have with people that, like, I don't know. I mean, like, I am not a. Everyone that and you know this, and you're probably the same way. We're not. We're talkers.
Yeah.
You know, we don't do drive-by conversations. We don't, hi, see ya, good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're good. I mean, you know, it's like when we talk to somebody, when we do something, we fucking focus intensely on it, right? It's the same thing when I have a conversation with somebody. It's like when I'm talking to you, like, you got my full attention, like 1,000% of it. But then when I'm shifting and doing something else, it's the same thing. So why? Because I think we want to get to know what makes this person tick. Why are they happy? Why are they depressed? Why are they sad? You know?
Yeah.
And I think it's also in our nature to help, to share our experience. Like, okay, you know, you're not feeling good because of this. You know, you listen, and then you tap into, you know,
like,
your
what's
own
wrong?
experience.
You all right? Check it up on people.
Yeah.
But why don't we show them? Why don't we reel the clip and show people what it was like this weekend? This is just a little clip of what happened. No, you gotta fucking mix.
Well,
Old tracks.
I don't have a car yet
And it
because
was
it's
like-
kid and I can't see
I
it unless
kinda
you
can't
put
hear it. I was just telling Andrew that Dirty South, who he opened for, was one of the most humble DJs I'd ever met in my life.
He's great, and you know what? You know what's awesome was last week when we had Simply Jeff here. He's been associated and affiliated with the breakbeat sound, which you know, like that for the big artists that have crossed over with the breakbeat sound, Chemical Brothers, Moby, Crystal Method. And that was what, 15, 20 years ago. By the way, Massive Attack. I'm just, all these names are popping up in my head. But you know, with
Prodigy.
Prodigy.
Well, they were kind of like
a little bit more
their own-
underground.
Yeah, a little more, raw.
But that, you know, the breakbeat sound definitely was probably the first commercial dance music sound. But Dirty South is another guy that is affiliated with his own sound, which is big room house music, big room progressive house.
Yeah, progressive house. And, you know, it was interesting because, you know, when you're a DJ and you're opening for a main DJ, like, and they tell you whether it's 12:30 or 12, like, when they're coming on, usually, you know, you get bum rushed 10 minutes before. You know, usually they're putting their USB in, like, you know, there's totally like this whole like, okay, yeah, the big DJ's here, all right, right?
Yeah.
He was like,
was
what
totally
up, guys?
relaxed. Yeah.
Whenever you want. He's like, play more tracks. I was like, really? And then you were already ready. I'm like, bro, you're gonna need to throw in another track.
Yeah.
He's not wanting to go up right now. He's wanting to chill out and hang out with people and meet and talk to people. And then when you played the last track and he's ready to go, and he just sat there and he just sat there and had a 3-minute conversation with me.
Totally.
While you were up there, and like, good thing you played like a 7-minute track. So it was like, I don't know, it was just very like.
It was organic.
Super organic and
organic.
chill, and even though I'm kind of jumping ahead to topics, but one of the topics today is about not only how anybody can be a DJ, but also like, I think that there's a lot of like how you deal with fame in life and stuff. And he's one of the guys that I think, I mean, I didn't know him personally, and of course I'd seen him maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. This is the last time I saw him. But I didn't realize, dude, that guy's doing it right.
He is. He's sticking to his guns with his own sound, and I think he's another person that feels the same way we do. He's very tapped into the collective consciousness. His sound is very pure, and you know, a lot of people would say, you know, what makes someone's sound pure? I mean, it's like he was one of the first guys to come out with that sound. You know, I mean, there's a handful of guys that are known for a very similar sound. You know, big room progressive.
Sander Kleinenberg and
yeah,
like, yeah.
I was gonna say Axwell, right? Oh,
I was
Swedish
going
House
a little
Mafia.
older. Yeah, I was going a little older.
But Sander for sure.
Yes,
definitely.
Sander. He kind of reminds me of like a little reformed, edgy of Sander Kleinenberg in a more mainstream way.
He definitely is, and he's Australian. He's been around for a really long time. But you know, the thing is, and by the way, he was a top 20 DJ.
Yeah, he was.
He was like, he was right there.
He was at the top.
He was I think even at the top. I think at one point in Southern California, he was getting booked so much, and he was right there. I would say where, I mean, like Tiesto was taking pictures with him, and you know where Diplo and Steve Aoki is. He was there. Now these newer guys that, well, they're not necessarily newer, but their sound is more current.
Yeah.
Again, Dirty South, that sound has now passed, and it's a testament that he still gets booked a lot because he was at the top of his genre. I think you have to be like that. You have to, you know, stick to your guns. And
but he was genuine. He was cool. He wasn't there trying to make a scene or look cool. But like, you know, then there's the other thing, like this Dastic thing going on right now.
That is
like
totally right.
I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. I've been reading a lot about it, and on my Facebook, I know a chick who she didn't get sexually abused or anything, but like kind of knew or went through a lot of his little weird thing. Did you have you been researching about how, you know, they say, what's the city name that they use to
Tulsa.
So it's a slut backwards, and then his managers and his agent and everybody were like literally checking out if you were hot or not, and if you were and you were single, because if you came with your boyfriend or anything, they kick you out, and then would bring you to the back of the bus, basically get you as fucked up as you can and sexually abuse you.
Yeah, no, that's disturbing, and I think, you know, we've been talking about this from day one, from the very first episode. There is a responsibility for anybody that is a content creator, a producer, a musical figure. You have a responsibility because people, you have a platform.
They look up to
exactly.
you. They look up to you. That's the whole thing about being a personality is, it doesn't matter if whatever you do, it's not about like, oh, you're a great celebrity. It's like most people are just inspired by something about somebody when you're a public personality. Like, and every public personality is inspired by somebody else or was inspired by somebody else. So you just want to keep a good standard. And I don't know if the allegations are true with Dastic or not, right? Like, because any allegation's a serious thing, and of course he deserves to, but I guess he did an apology, and it was like, yo, everyone.
Totally. No,
it was like, everybody's kind of like,
I mean, it's, and right now with the whole Me Too movement, it's, you know.
Yeah, Steven Seagal today is the new one.
Yeah, no,
I know it's not in the dance thing or in the electronic world, but.
No, but still, it's you know, it's a controversial issue right now, but I think what matters for us is everyone just needs to be very, very. They just got to be conscious and aware that if you're in this seat, if you're putting out content on social media, you know what? Cool. It's funny stuff. That's great. Everyone wants a good laugh. If you're a comedian, you know, you're Seinfeld or whatever, and Jay Leno. But if you're gonna be, you know, talking,
you have a platform.
Exactly. Be responsible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like have a point, and don't manipulate and take advantage of people.
Yeah, I know. It's not only that, but it's also like using your platform to put other people down. Like, even though like we're reporting about a story with Dastic, I don't know if it's true. Who knows? It's not our job to be the one who says this person's a bad person.
Yeah.
Like, we're reporting on it. Yeah. Of course, if it's true, I don't agree with it. I think it's horrible, and I think, a lot of the articles I've been reading have been like, this responsibility was like what rock bands were doing, and then kind of where rock bands kind of made this mentality of like, go in the back green room, and if you're a hot chick or whatever, you get tagged. If you ever watched that movie, what's it called? Oh, it's so good, where the young reporter goes on the tour bus with the rock band. I forgot, it's so good.
Oh, right. I think I know what you're talking about.
But with Stillwater, they made up that band. Anyway, it's kind of like that, where it's like, you've got to, know your responsibilities, man. And now today with social media, if you see there's all these chicks Instagram, he's like, yeah, I fucked you, and you were really drunk, and you walked out with your pants off, but we tried to make sure you were okay. Like,
it's bad. I'm curious to know what the audience thinks about this stuff, because I read it and I see it. Actually, why a lot of the news I get is from my newsfeed. Actually, I would say my newsfeed in the last 5, maybe 10 years probably is more informing, and I that's where I get now information more than CNN.
That's
more
where
than,
I got this Dastic
New York
thing.
Times. That's a controversial issue too, because Facebook's news feed and all social media news feeds are a lot of people are putting out
now you
fake
can report
news.
Something as fake news.
Exactly.
You can report it as fake news.
Before you couldn't.
Yeah, before you couldn't. Now you can, so it can get flagged.
Yeah.
And then if it gets flagged, then they just know, oh, this link. And if Facebook thinks it's fake news, they go, all right, we're not going to show it. So it's an interesting.
But that's controversial too, because that's kind of capped people's reach.
Yeah.
And people that are just haters will just flag you to death.
I know.
And then your reach gets shrunk. So.
But then it's necessary, because there is hate and there is.
There is, yeah.
So we're at a really weird space with it all, and it's just the same kind of weird space with this DJ phenomenon, right? Like anybody could be a DJ now. And especially, like, you could buy likes, you could buy cheap equipment now, like free music, and, just say you're a DJ now. And that's not a bad thing. I think, gosh, if it wasn't for me saying I wanted to be a DJ and going for it, I don't ever want to have anybody crush their dreams. But, like, after last night, I realized, God, it took me 9 years to get to this space to where it was like, my buddy was asking me, like, how are you so comfortable up there? I couldn't even imagine figuring it out and being in the fight. I'm like, yeah, it took 9 years.
Totally.
Like, I remember even like 4 years ago, I was still freaking out a little bit on stage after 5 years of playing or whatever. So it's like, anybody can be a DJ, but that doesn't mean
that they're gonna execute it. They're gonna be a good performer. You're right. It's
just like golf too. Like you could be great, like or even these NASCAR drivers. There's like rookie guys in their first couple races, they do great, and then they fall in the pack, and then they're
Well, it's a dichotomy, right? It's like there's everybody, and it is and can be a DJ, but not everyone can actually make a living out of it. In fact, I was talking to somebody over at Marcus Schultz's label, one of his managers over there, and even he was even telling me that he's got a side job, because it's like only 1% of DJs actually make money.
Yeah.
Why, yeah, you're right. It's easy. You could download music for free. Equipment is cheap. Everyone's got a platform to market themselves. But why is it hard? What makes it challenging? And also, by the way, I want to encourage you guys to message us on the live feed. If you guys have any questions, this is a great place, a great space, because I get questions all the time afterwards. And part of the reason why we do this show is we dedicate time to actually engage and get, help out with whatever questions you may have. And we want to hit topics that we think and we feel that we get a ton of questions for, that we see on our newsfeed, and we get personal messages for. So if you guys have any questions, please let us know anytime on the comment section. We have Kyle and Craig, people are helping us out. They're looking at it, and we'll check our phones once in a while as well. But definitely let us know what you guys think about the DJ phenomenon. What are the pros? What are the negatives?
Why are they the new rock stars? Or this Dastic case? He's 21 years old. Like, okay, so it's like starting with new DJs, right?
Yeah.
Part of it is the experience of like when you get a platform like that and you have a tour bus and things, like you're 21 years old doing drugs and alcohol, like you're gonna, where's you know, are you gonna abuse it? Like, are you gonna, it's like, that's the whole thing is like, it's crazy. You meet older DJs who've been doing it a long time, and you know, I've seen some that keep it quality forever, and then I'll be honest, I've seen some where they lose it. They just like they're not into it anymore, and then I see a young DJ come up and they're the bomb because they're hungry.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a flip-floppy
It is.
situation right now.
You know, it definitely is. I mean, you know, Kyle, who helps us out, you know, he messaged me. He's like, "Did you see this Datsik thing?" And I looked at it, and I was like, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't surprised. It's just something that we've seen. I see this happening within the club industry. Like,
isn't he trap? Right? He's trap.
He's trap. Yeah, he's a trap.
And I'm not trying to like go here, but I'm an open book. Like the trap scene's kind of like the punk hardcore scene of the dance scene, right? It's a lot more edgy, it's a lot more party, it's a lot more get really fucked up and party.
It is I would say it's a little bit more of a.
Not that that's bad, I'm not saying, because you're talking to Mr. Party back in the day. And I'd be, if I was, you know, if it was 10 years ago and trap was around, I would probably be into it, you know?
No, it's, you know, it's.
But like, I missed the trap boat because I'm an older guy and an older DJ, but like, that's kind of the MO is the really heavy bass lines and taking as much drugs as you can and getting messed up. And so I'm a little not surprised that it came from that scene.
No.
I'm all about, we're all in the same generation, but it's like, I think it's awakening for that scene because like, okay, in trance, it's all about eternal plur and love.
Yeah.
In house, it's about we're all one and dance and positivity and good vibes and unity.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like, trap's about partying and getting fucked up.
You know,
well, maybe that's what's gonna come out of it.
Well, trap is a kind of a hybrid of hip hop, okay, right? And there is, you know, hip hop has been under fire from day one, right? Because of like NWA and whatnot.
Yeah.
But now NWA is a whole different story. It
is. But they were speaking for
they had their voice.
Not only
the generation, the
reasons,
ethnicity,
but like there was a lot of, and that was during the LA riot periods that were where there was a buildup to it because it was before LA riots. It was like 88, right? 89, all that NWA, right? And then the riots were 91, 92. So it's like, they were speaking for a whole class of people that weren't being spoken towards.
Totally.
But with trap, I think they're speaking to a new class of people, which is good, that really like intense music.
Yeah.
But then there's another side of it where it's like, well, we also like to party really intense.
Yeah.
And we kind of give no fucks to what there's really kind of no trajectory, if that makes sense.
No,
the trajectory is to the bar or the drug dealer or the back of a bus.
No, there's no vision, no mission statement. You know, again, it's kind of a lot of it is where hip hop is right now too, in my opinion.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, look at Chris Brown. Like speaking about always like, bitches ain't loyal. If you show around with more money, like you're gonna cheat on your husband because I'm a rapper and I have more money. Those are what the songs are now. It's like, so and there's no real mission statement there either.
And I have a big problem with that because it's back to, you know, my thing, which is being responsible if you're famous. You know, a lot of people, you know, what's that saying? Any publicity is good publicity.
Good publicity.
Any, right? So take for instance Carnage, where he says, you know, fuck Plur. Plur is dead. You know? Yeah, dude, if you say that, of course it's gonna trend, especially if you're a big figure like that, right?
But his name is Carnage.
Right.
The opposite of Plur.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, that'd be like saying the devil, like, there's no heaven.
Totally.
Like, I mean, okay, all right, like, you're gonna trend because that's what your thing is.
That's...
Like, Plur's about love, unity, respect, like, having a beautiful time. Carnage is like
Destruction.
destruction and hate
Carnage.
and like just ravage, you
Totally.
know? So they're very opposite.
You're right. And you can't, and again,
So that didn't surprise me. I'm like, Carnage not into Plur? Like,
no, it didn't surprise me. But what bothers me is two things. Number one, his name, he's benefiting from a platform that was built by people that actually loved music, that was part of this counterculture that dates back to who knows when, right?
Right.
This revolution of people that had an oppressed voice.
Yeah.
That and then they use music as a platform. Going back probably further than Woodstock, probably in the jazz era, maybe even further than that, right? Undergrounds in Europe, and who knows? But he built his name off that platform, and now he's saying fuck them. You know what I mean?
I know.
But it's kind of like, and of course it's going to trend because he's playing the fame game.
yeah, he's playing the fame game, but what's the problem is it's coming out at the same time that there's a guy who also isn't practicing the Plur aspect, who's now sexually abusing people accused of that in the back of tour buses all the time and hurting women and having sex with them when they're drunk and unconscious. And that's against the Plur aspect.
Totally.
So, like, sure, you could say it's dead because if you see something with Dastic, there may be a point there.
Right,
If that's true, right?
right.
But I don't think it's true because I think if you don't have something like Plur, which is just the morals and values and like a mission statement around the culture, the music, then, like when I go to a rave, when a girl passed out on too much ecstasy or drugs, like nobody took advantage of her. Their friends looked out for her. There was a message statement like, oh, we got you, take care of her, get her out of here, get her to some help or to a emergency tent or something. But it seems kind of like when you don't have those morals and those values or the Plur around, guess what happens? You're going to end up in the back of a bus with a tag on you, Tulsa, and you're on your own with whatever that creepy, weird thing is going on in the back of the bus.
Well, it is a very sad situation, and usually I don't like to discuss topics like this because I'm gonna say it. I feel like I'm above these kind of things.
Yeah.
But it is at our front door. You know what I mean? It's just in our face.
There's so much hate right now going on.
Yeah.
In a lot of places, whether we're seeing it in the news, we're seeing it in our music scene, we're seeing it in our personal lives, we're seeing it in a lot of places. And so you have to bring it up, but also show that there's so much positive around so everybody can move the trajectory towards that space.
Yeah.
Like Plur is definitely not dead.
No, I mean,
I think it lives in every rave that I go to. I see it with everybody holding their flags and their banners and everybody still wanting to do love. And there's a lot of positive. To be honest with you, I think Plur's stronger than ever.
It is.
It's just gotten bigger, so it's not a new special thing. It might have lost its initial start magic like things get, right? Like when something starts, right? It's got magic around it because it's new and it's unheard of. But now that Plur's been going on for a long time, it's kind of like, sure, maybe it lost its initial magic, but there's still magic there, but we're used to it now.
I also think that Plur has it's this invisible thing that bonds all of us, but it's been taken advantage of, it's been manipulated, it's been sold, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, it's kind of like even in the spiritual community, like somebody, using that as like, ooh, I'm a spiritual person, so you should like me more. It's kind of like, oh, I'm Plur, so like, come to my house or something. Like,
well, I'll give you a perfect example. I think Plur is within it. It's underground, and I think it's become a little bit more. You have to recognize it. If you have it, you'll recognize it. In a situation like Dirty South, that was Plur.
Yeah, it was.
That was a moment of, of peace, love, unity, and respect for one another. We don't have to say it. You know what I mean?
And even the club, like Avalon was very Plur.
Exactly.
Most people might not think a club could be.
Yeah.
But there was zero pressure.
Totally.
Like.
Plur.
There was trust.
There's exactly.
Plur comes with trust.
It does. And I like the fact that we're openly talking about it because people that talk about it, a lot of times they're being looked at as being weak and hippies and you know what I mean?
Or that you have
hippies.
to be on ecstasy to be on Plur.
Exactly.
Like, Sure,
Yeah.
Plur and ecstasy go hand in hand, but Plur by itself doesn't require any drug, alcohol, or anything.
No, it's it's absolutely right, and I think we are the descendants of a rave culture, and I'm so glad that we kind of came up when we did. We're so fortunate because here's the thing, you know what? In the real world, people try to take advantage of you. They try to take advantage of me and you, and you're in a situation right now. I'm constantly in situations where people are trying to I'm being compromised by people that want to put me into just honestly,
whatever it is, crazy
yeah,
category they want to put you in.
And here's the thing, if that could easily, I could easily be eaten up and overtaken by that, and I could lose my sense of Plur really fucking easy, but I don't let it get to me because it's like at the end of the day, it's like, dude, if it gets to you, you just go down this whole spiral of the dark side. You know what I mean? And
Anakin Skywalker, it flips like that, and you can see it in their eyes and the way that they react, and you can hear it in their voice. And it takes you down a crazy road. And I don't know what happened with this whole situation with Dastic, but at the end of the day, it's not good if it is true, and if it didn't happen, it's good that it got brought up to at least make sure. Because DJs are rock stars now. Rock stars, I don't want to say are dead, but the rock stars are
the
DJs right now. So, and that'll change one day, like everything changes. But for now, they are. So this is kind of putting finally some boundary lines on it.
It is. And the other interesting thing to me was how fast his management and his label and everything just exactly.
What are you talking about? We weren't putting Tulsa on chicks.
And that, to me, that's kind of
not Plur.
That's not Plur, but that's also kind of it also shows it kind of the awakening is talent. Because Kyle sent it to me and he said what a waste of talent, and I said no, what a waste of an opportunity.
Yeah. Because
talent is fabricated now.
It's true, and it's an opportunity because it's a rare opportunity to have in your life, and you just kind of.
Well, he blew it because he didn't. Honestly, I don't want to judge the guy. I don't know what happened.
We don't know what happened.
But in that situation, the way that it played out, it's like wow, you're not really you think you're in control. All these figures, they think they're in control, but they're not, No,
and there is evidence with just at least it says his name, Disick, and then there's a check mark for basically.
Right.
You're basically wanting to hang out afterwards or whatever. I forgot what it is, but yeah, so
But yeah, man, back to the whole thing with, and by the way, I want to encourage the audience, if you guys are out there and, listening, please let us know if you guys have any questions, because that's what we're here for. We want to make this as much of a full-on, real-time, real-life engagement. And I think we've probably met pretty much everyone that. Well, on my side, I meet people.
And I guess
constantly.
his name is what? Stick. I keep saying Dastic. But.
Yeah, however you pronounce it.
Stick.
Dat Stick.
Well, if your name is Stick, maybe he's got some sort of insecurity with his stick, and maybe that's why it's ended up towards this place.
It's I think
Stick. That's really his name.
I also think that needed to happen because the way that the scene is going, I'm gonna say it. I think people have been feeling it, and because all the signs, and he just stuck out as like a sore thumb. Somebody was, they needed to make an example out of somebody.
Well, and this is what does deal with
feel.
the music shifting too.
Yeah.
Is music is vibration. I've got a lot of old books that go back over 100 years talking about music is vibration and your life is in rhythm based on the kind of music you listen to.
Right.
And in the dance scene, there is a very hard sound, which is not a bad thing. But
Yeah.
and I've just personally noticed in when you go into the trap scene, it can go. There is a road that can go down a road that is very off vibrationally. I'm just being real.
Totally.
And it represents the people, it represents the energy, it represents kind of this dark aspect. You know, it was weird because I always kind of felt that way, and I love drum and bass, but there was also like, I'd go into like the bass rush tent, you know, back in the day. And, you know, it was like when you go in there, it was different than the transpler scene out there or the house tent. You'd go into the bass rush tent and you'd be like, okay, there's some people doing some really weird things over here because I love drum and bass. They're some of the best things I love in drum and bass. But back then, before trap, there was even some drum and bass people that were, the music wasn't even on, it wasn't even like vibrationally vibing, and long story short, some people went off into some weird places there too. So,
No, you make a good point.
you know, I know it's hard to say, and I'm just being real. It's just like, I mean, what you listen to becomes who you are.
Totally. It does reflect your personality for sure. And you know, these little things matter a lot, I think.
Well,
But
if you're, you know, one of the segments we want to talk about is like, especially being in this place, it could affect suicide with not only the hate you're dealing with and how to survive all that hate and how to deal with being a personality and negative things happening to you. So suicide comes up, but a lot of it also is the music you listen to. We didn't even connect those
Yeah.
until now.
No, totally.
Like if you're listening to music that's about like, only if you make $1 billion and have that car and whatever and fuck this many hoes that you're a good person. Well, somebody who listens to that all the time and doesn't reach that, or how many followers you have or any of that shit, look what's gonna happen to your life. You're gonna end up wanting to commit suicide.
no, this is a very serious subject that I think nobody has really taken the time to address. And I'm the perfect example that of hate, and hate comes in so many different forms, right? It comes in like a form of like you hating other people or self-hate, which is actually, you know, in my opinion, why people commit suicide, because it's self-hate, period.
Yeah.
And a perfect example is the lead singer of Linkin Park.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, somebody at the top of their game with all that money and all that fame. I mean, he's beyond EDM. He's beyond it. Like, I mean,
Well, he actually kind of helped the EDM scene if you think
yeah,
about it,
yeah.
because Linkin Park was like the first rock band that really brought electronic sounds in and DJ scratching
Totally.
and all that kind of
They-
stuff that made
they
it
were,
like, wow, this is my, you know,
Everyone liked
style,
him.
and more like synths and
yeah.
you know, like.
But at the same time, there was a rapper in there, right?
Yeah, I guess it was
Yeah.
all of it. It was awesome.
And they somehow made all the elements work really well together. But again, you know, that was a shocker to me. You know,
Yeah,
that was
I
like,
know, and
whoa.
especially 2 days before on YouTube, he's with his family having, you know, it seems like everything's fine.
Well, money doesn't buy happiness.
No.
And it's fucking evident when you see a situation like that, you know? And it's just like, and I was going through a personal shift at the time too. And, you know, here's the thing, I've been in a lot of
Yeah,
situations.
that one was hard.
It was hard because he was a public figure, he was an artist, and there's,
I think
we connected with that.
I think almost everybody that's in Electronic Generation as a
Right.
group in the world
Right.
had
Was affected by
that CD, a couple of those
Yeah,
CDs.
Totally.
Like if you, even like my wife, who's 10 years younger than me, had Linkin Park CDs. You know what I mean? Like Linkin Park is like,
You know, depression.
you have that CD. You know what I mean? Meteora or whatever, right? Like that was the name of the CD. Like you have those CDs.
You know, basically the media chucked it up as, you know, he was a manic depressant and we didn't know about it. End the story. That was it. And the same thing with George Michael. Same thing with Prince.
Robin
Same
Williams.
thing, yeah, Robin Williams. Manic depressant. End of story.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like nobody is actually sitting down and having dialogue the way we are right now. These guys fucking hate,
Or blaming it on the prescriptions they're on, which
Yeah.
that could be part of it, but I think it goes way deeper. You need to be able to talk to people and be there for them and take a little bit of pressure off people too, so they can get through a situation
Yeah.
in life, you know?
Well, there's a lot. I was reading about Anthony Kiedis, the lead singer of Red Hot Chili Peppers. He basically he got let go of Chili Peppers for a while because he had a heroin addiction.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people out there that are having a hard time dealing with. Life is challenging.
Yeah.
This is not make believe.
No. As, my mom
The
likes
shit is
to
real.
say, my mom likes to say, life was not meant for the weak.
No, it's hard, man, and that's why part of the show is I call it a show because we have to call it something. But to me, from the day one, it was never a show. To me, it was like, I called you up. I was like, fuck, dude, how do we fucking how do we create awareness? Why are we so disconnected everyone's so disconnected on social media, but everyone is constantly, we're watching each other's news feeds, we're
Yeah,
we
we're
see
more
each other.
disconnected than
But
ever,
yeah,
but
why-
we're the most
exactly.
connected. But that's how the universe works.
It's a crazy dichotomy. It's an insane,
that's
and
how the
everybody
universe
feels
works.
And it's so,
we have more light and electronics around, but we're all in the dark more than ever.
Totally.
But during the times when
Yeah.
we were in darkness, there was no electricities. You could say that there was more connection and more light.
I've
around.
never.
It's weird.
But you know what? At the same time, the polarities are like totally. I mean, I haven't felt this much. Like I do feel hate in the world more now than I
Yeah.
ever did. You know what I mean? And why do I feel? How do I feel it? Because of social media. Social media and EDM, you fucking feel the hate.
I know.
And it's crazy, just in music, the music genre in general, but a lot of it comes from the dance music culture.
Yeah.
And it's like, this was the culture that was built on polarity. So, I want to know what the audience thinks
I think
about
it's just
this.
It's jealousy.
It's jealousy, it's a lot of things, but
And it's because social media puts
Yeah.
this.
allows people a platform. It gives
It gives people a
a
platform,
voice.
but it's a platform where you're based upon how many likes you've got, and how many comments you've got, and how many views you've got, and it's like that really isn't what it is. Because I've noticed, with my social media thing, it's like it might not be that big or have that many people, but it's like, man, the
community.
condensed. I think it's more about like the condensed aspect of like people who all feel similar, like.
Exactly.
And that's bigger than, having 1 billion followers. Somebody can have 1 billion followers, but maybe 20,000 of them even really follow that person today.
No, 100%,
It's
absolutely.
like crazy. Like everybody might like, 1 million people I think like certain things on Facebook, right? Like I might like Sprite, right? But do I really go to check out what Sprite is doing on their freaking feed today?
No, exactly. 100%. I agree with you. There's a couple of people that I follow. I think, a big figure right now for me. I've been big with Steve Jobs, Robert Kiyosaki, and lately Gary Vee. You know?
I started following because of you, and he's been putting out a lot of like, stop fucking worrying about everybody else.
Yeah.
You worry about yourself.
Yeah, no, totally.
That's his like number one thing. He's like, all I hear about is people complaining about everything and complaining and complaining.
Yeah. No, he's very in your face, and
Yeah.
it is it is psychology.
Yeah.
What he's doing right there is psychology, and he fucking wakes you up with a post. He wakes you up with like, here's the punchline. Nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? That's his punchline. You know what I mean? Or nobody gives a fuck about your problems. You know, they want to know what you're doing to make the world better. That's kind of like his punchline, just like 2 words or a sentence, and it does snap people out because we do live in this kind of soundbite culture right now, right? Where everything is like, and he's hitting people constantly with all this stuff. So
Every day.
Every single day.
His Instagram is like bam, 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 bam. So like I'm like,
I know,
the
I
dude
know.
puts more stories on than I even know.
Oh, the last one I read, I loved it because he was like, here's what I know about life. You got to work your fucking brains out. That's what he says.
It's true.
And get good at find out what you're good at and fucking do it. That's it.
No, it's true.
It keeps it really simple, and I think that stuff like that does. You know what I like about him also is he counters hate because he comes on so fucking strong, right?
Yeah, he does.
Because he says fuck and shit, and he's in your face. He's like, stop fucking complaining.
I know.
And it's like, okay, if you're a hater, you're like, oh, if someone is like feeling
Well,
angry,
yeah.
they'll embrace that because like because he's got that power trip over you, right?
Yeah.
But he's putting out positive shit through his
know.
power trip.
It's true, but
Yeah.
I think what he's trying to say is like people are just complaining of what this person did
Yeah.
to me and instead of worrying about how to there's always going to be a shitty situation in life, whether it's you're going to be late because you hit too many red lights, or somebody didn't let you go to a job, or somebody broke up with you, or whatever. Like there's always going to be something. Instead of complaining about it, you should just get over it and go conquer what you wanted to go do.
No, it's yeah. I
Like
agree.
there's really no people are just lost in complaining, and social media now has become crybaby central. That's what it's become
it has,
because
yeah.
now everybody doesn't know how to express themselves, and they can hide behind it, and they just cry about everything that went wrong in my life, and instead of like, why don't you just go make it the way that you're gonna go make it?
Not only that, but you know, and it's. I wish.
You know?
No, it is. You know, I wish people can actually. It's like when I hear people talk and I see people's newsfeed, it's like this is so easy to solve right now, in my mind. You know.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: we've been through that hardship. I think that's why we're able to get through it. And this is another thing that we were talking about Avalon when we were in the green room, is why we're where we're at. Why did we get, you know, how do we get, where we're getting good gigs? How do we always get good gigs and whatnot? But, and how we're able to handle them, just like you said earlier. We're able to do it because we stuck with it.
Yeah.
We have the experience. And not only that, but
Practice pays off.
practice pays off, but also, you know what, like, we were consistent with it, and part of the consistency is like, how do I say this? We got beat up, you know what I mean? We got like a shitload of rejections and a shitload of letdowns and no's, and you know like I was telling one of the
Gigs where no one shows
exactly.
up. And
Yeah. No, one of the guys, one of our guests that came out, Sean, hopefully he's watching. He's usually on every show, and you met him.
Yeah.
He's been trying to get a hold of me, and I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to blow you off. I'm just constantly fucking working. You know what I mean? And but if you come here or if you're on the show, I promise I'll set a time, some time, and we'll talk. But at the same time, it's like, it's like, this is why we have stuff like this, because we're trying to reach out to more people. I think you and I are unique in the sense that where we're at because of a combination of things, our age, Rome wasn't built in a day, you know what I mean?
No.
Everything that you've built here and everything that I built, and we combine it. The reason why we also are able to work together is because of experience.
Yeah.
Because like, for instance, Avalon, like, you came early, which is what you're supposed to do, and you're always good about being punctual. Always, you're never fucking late. You're always actually early to make sure everything is boom, boom, boom. All, like the checklist is all marked off, and I didn't know that they were were not that you couldn't bring a crowd with you without having everyone ID security.
Yeah.
So I got a call from them, and you were like, and I called you and I was like, hey, you know what, you could come in with your wife, but your guests, you got to wait till the doors open. Security's got to do all their protocol and all this stuff. I'm sorry, I didn't know about that, and that just happened. You know what? And I was riding with Kyle, and I was like, fuck, he's probably a little bit upset about that right now, but.
I wasn't upset. I just went and waited in my car instead with all my crew.
But see, here's the thing.
We just hung out.
But after that, that's why we work well together, because you understand shit like that. Shit happens, and you just roll with it. You don't let it. Now, but at the same time, I know that you're.
They also had my name right when I walked in as Leo the King, not the Leo King.
Right.
And instead of freaking out, I was just like,
you just handled it. You just
my name's actually the Leo King.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's go change that. And didn't get weird with him and said, thanks, bro, you're awesome. And then, you know what? When you start with that little thing and not complaining and fix whatever the issue is and then move forward, guess what happens? Everything just goes so smooth.
Totally.
Dude, you and I walked up on the stage, not one person went up to us to sound like he was like, oh, go. And then I was like, all right, put in my first track, go. And he was like, oh, yeah, you know what you're doing. Just stay right here, don't red light, and have a nice night.
Right. No, exactly. No, that
And that's not like a slot where it's like, okay, like we don't really care. Like you're direct opening for the whole night. Like
totally. Yeah, it's just me. It's just you and me, and Dirty
in
South.
Dirty South for the whole night.
Yeah. So we're in a venue like Avalon, any major venue to be honest, right? Like Exchange, Omnia, Time even. That playing on the main stage is a fucking serious deal, especially if you're right next to the directly opening for a major artist, and you can't you don't get there. You don't get there. You don't become a headliner, overnight. You have to put in the work, and then it just becomes natural.
Yeah.
After a while. So everything that you just talked about, yeah, it went smooth. It went smooth because you've had the experience. You knew not to get crazy. You knew to just sit back and because all these things matter a lot. Because like let's say you were like and I've had guys, by the way, I've had DJs get crazy with me over little things, and I'm like I can't deal with this. This guy, girl, DJ, they're just not ready yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And and guess what? That's happened to me. And I probably have been in a situation where I was working with somebody who was booking me or was higher above me, and I was looking for an opportunity, and I wasn't ready, and that's just life, man. But you know what?
What was the worst? I'll tell you mine after you tell me yours. What was the worst situation you went through as a DJ, not as a promoter or not as a booker, because you also book a lot of fucking DJs.
Yeah.
But as a DJ, to where you had to get through the hardest hump, something went wrong, and what was the hardest hump you had to get through?
Well, I'll tell you, the most memorable one was last one I played at Omnia Las Vegas with, let's see here. I opened for Armin.
Van Buren.
Armin Van Buren. And this was just October, around Halloween weekend. That was actually the week of the shooting.
The shooting, yeah, I know. I was there too.
Yeah, you were?
That was there that weekend after when you were.
That's right, because you had a conference.
I had a thing with, I was jet skiing, but yeah, my wife and I had a family reunion there for one night. Yeah,
no, I remember. So after the shooting, because we scheduled this about 2 months out, and I called up the talent buyer and I said, you know what? I've never ever canceled on you. I've never said no to an opportunity, but I don't think I can go through with this. Everyone's freaking out right now. I don't know if I could pull a crowd. I don't know if anyone's gonna come. I'm just giving you a heads up. It's better that we just, I not go through with the gig and disappoint you guys. He said, he messaged me back and said, nobody canceled on our end. And that was fucking brilliant, because he was just, basically it was like, you know what, that's in your head, that's in your mind. And I was like, okay. And I just plowed forward, and
and it went good, actually.
It went great. No, the next day, Vegas came up with a marketing concept, Vegas Strong.
Yeah.
And we felt that that rallied
I think people
up.
felt safer inside than out, because I was there that weekend, and the strip was dead, but the casinos were full.
Right. They were.
Like, people were wanting to be more inside too, so a club was actually a place more people probably wanted to hang out at, even though it was a horrible shooting at a concert. But I think people felt more safe indoors. It was weird.
Yeah. It felt safe. It felt good. And when we got there, I had talked to the staff, and I was like, how's your weekend? And everyone was like, everyone was kind of like, they were down, but they were also like, yeah, but we're pulling together.
People were pulling together.
Even I talked to a bunch of Uber drivers, and everyone's like, we've never seen Vegas come this close to, as a community before ever. And everyone was really, really just like on board with it. But we ended up bringing, like, literally, not lying, like 100 people, and like, people bought bottle service from me, and they really pulled together to support that night. But that was
your hump.
That was hard.
Like,
that was a hump. But after I did that, I was like, okay, so anything is possible. Anything, not And ever since then, I've just, prior to that, I've been there.
That's your hardest hump?
Yeah, that was. But that's a tall order, right?
Oh, it's a tall order. You're right. I mean, Armin Van Buren to open direct for him.
After a shooting.
I know, after shooting in Vegas,
and
at the biggest club
died.
in Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
so,
I know.
What's yours?
Mine is, it used to be Echo Lounge. There was Melodic Wednesdays. And
I remember
was
that.
very
That was
popular
good.
in
That
LA.
was good. It was.
It was really big.
Yeah.
And I was on True Beauty, that reality show, and I had a good. You even
I
dealt
remember
with.
that.
You even dealt with my management at that time.
I remember that.
I got signed to a management, and they did a lot of reality stars like Snooki and
Right.
like So I got booked at Echo Lounge to headline, and this was my first headline show ever. And the EC Twins opened up for me, which is even weirder because they're huge now, and I open up for them now, so it's kind of weird. But long story short, this was back when I used to play on a laptop. And Craig was at this gig. So I'm headlining, get into the first track, it's midnight, it's going good, second track's going good, third track, and then it just dies. Boop.
Wow.
My laptop dies. Somebody was on the DJ booth and knocked my
Cable
off the computer.
and the battery.
And back then in 2010, batteries only lasted, especially if you're running a DJ program and stuff, it only lasts like,
30 minutes.
15 minutes for 3 tracks worth.
Right.
Or anyway, my heart just goes,
Wow.
because,
That's huge.
The EC Twins saved my ass. They were right there because they just gotten off and they were listening to my set and they were digging it. They pulled out a CD and threw it in and just pushed play.
Wow.
Saved my ass. So I had to, put the computer back in. And this is back when it was like, okay, the computer just doesn't start up like today.
Totally.
Today you turn it on a computer, it turns right back on.
Yeah.
I had to wait like 6 minutes to get everything back. And it was so embarrassing. And to get back into my set and act like nothing went wrong was the hardest hump of my life.
Wow.
And Sam, I think his last name is with a G, booked me for that
right.
one.
I remember.
Sam
I know.
Jep,
Yeah.
Is it Jeppy or
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I was like, and I didn't talk to him after that, and he never booked me again.
Wow.
And this is more things about experience as a
Yeah.
young DJ. Like my confidence level was more than I was willing to realize. Like maybe I should, and this is back when I was on DJ, maybe I should have had tape over that so that doesn't happen, or maybe I should have paid attention to that more.
Totally.
Like those are the little things that you don't miss with experience. So my heart, like I'll never forget, I left that gig more embarrassed than anything in my life, because that was all I ever wanted in my life. Was I finally reached it and I fucked it up.
Yeah.
And so that was a big bump, and that one actually kind of pulled me out for a little bit.
Totally.
I still kept playing shows, but I stopped going for bigger gigs because I was like, I can't plan it on the laptop anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what made me transition to CDJs, because I was like,
Yeah.
that's just too fucked up.
And you know what? But
so.
it's a good thing that you experienced it then. How
I know. No, it was 2010.
Right?
That was July 2010 or August 2010. That was August 2010.
Oh, we need those kind of things in life, but look,
7.5 years ago.
We need those kind of things to kind of shape our character and,
I know.
and get to where we're at. It's sad because some people just let it eat them up, and then it becomes like they get depressed, and next thing you know,
No, it ate me up for a while.
Yeah.
It was at a hard time in my life too. So
I remember you telling me about that period. We've all had those kind of periods, but that's the thing that with EG, again. Yeah, music is our anchor, and that's our main. We're both DJs and artists, but putting the humanity back into electronics, putting the humanity back into music, is really our game. Is really our focus and our mission
shows
statement.
and all that things. And well, we're going to be putting the humanity back next week because you'll be in Tokyo.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Japan, and I'm excited to do for several reasons. I'm going all over Japan actually. I'm going to Osaka to see the cherry blossom. It's going to be my first time, and they're famous for that.
Wow.
Actually, not Osaka. It's going to be Kyoto.
Oh, wow.
Kyoto was the first capital in Japan, and obviously it's an ancient city. And it's what I love about Japan. This is my third time there. It's the first technologically advanced city. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, if you go to Mount Fuji, there's actually electronic sliding doors in the. It's weird because, for instance, if you go to certain cities here, like in the boonies, it's like everything is like it's an old liquor store. Yeah. But nothing there is an old liquor store over there. Everything is all electronic. Literally, you could
Yeah.
go to like a convenience store, and it's like there's like, I mean, their phone system and their
Everything's high tech and touchscreen and
yeah. And it was
and
like
connected
that.
to the internet.
It
and
is.
Yeah. You're not going to be like, oh, cash only. Oh, okay.
It is kind of like an anime kind of city. It is kind of like that world, and there's a whole anime district, literally, where there's like skyscrapers that are like, plastered with anime stuff, that's wrapped in anime. So
that's cool.
it's a great culture, and we're having one of our contacts over there. We actually set up 3X office. I set that up there about 8 months ago when I was there with a artist named Tomo, who actually, I don't know if he's watching right now, but the next week we're going to have him on the show, and we're going to try to broadcast it. Let's see how it goes. We're going to broadcast that live from Tokyo.
I know how to bring you in.
But Tomo is a great artist because, number one, his current project, he's working with, he's on Hardwell's label, Reveal, but one of his claims to fame is he did the soundtrack for The Grudge.
Nice.
So he's a very well accomplished producer
Nice.
in Japan, and we're excited to bring him on and to have a talk with us.
Yeah.
But you're also going on tour.
Yeah, I don't go on tour though till May, so May 17th or 16th through June 20th.
So
7 cities.
That's a huge tour.
I'll be DJing at every 7 cities too. So.
And you're gonna be broadcasting.
Yeah, we'll be broadcasting.
Well, I think that what's exciting for me about that was our initial plan was to have EG stationed just here, fixated in one place, and it was like we had.
No, it's gonna be
DJ
exciting to
booth
see it grow and see where it goes in new areas, because it just isn't gonna just be out of this office and studio all the time. I mean, we're gonna want to be at festivals, we're gonna want to be at different places. So it's good for us to also kind of go with the organic flow of wherever it is.
You know what? Here's the thing. I want to. This is why this is a very it's very hard for me to try to describe or articulate this, but EG is not just about you and me and the production team that's here. It's about the audience. It's where it's everyone that recognizes that they're part of this culture, this phenomenon that's happening right now, and people that are feeling disconnected. Because when we were growing up, we had this counterculture. We had the rave scene. We had the 80s. We had all this other stuff. And the culture now, like, supposedly the millennials, there is no connection. The millennials is a fucking dichotomy. Like there's two totally opposite polarities. But wherever it is, this is why EG, I love it, because it is in everyone and everywhere that's watching. It's everywhere.
And it's bringing people together.
It is.
And that's the main thing. Well, we'll see you from Tokyo next week.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'll be here, still here, but looking forward to it. And plus, we will be putting out this week on our Facebooks and stuff our interviews that we did at Avalon. We weren't able to put it up. But
well, that's gonna be a good one too.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next Monday.
later.